Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome to the October channel update, and thanks to the Patreons who continue to support the channel, as well as all of you who continue to like, comment, and of course subscribe. I should note that I'm sorry for missing last month, but things got a bit hectic, if I can use my words here, but yeah, let's just go ahead and proceed to the meat of the update. The games! What we're going to actually be doing this month. Towards the end of last month, we started up with Time Spinner and Pathfinder towards the end, like the 21st or so. And those will continue on daily until completion. So whenever Time Spinner ends, it'll end. And it will not have like gaps in between the days. I know some of you were upset about me going to an alternating day schedule, but we'll be going daily with most of the series now. This is actually the start into the transition of doing mostly daily series. The only exceptions are going to be Diablo 2 and Grim Dawn, with Grim Dawn starting this Friday, which should be like 2 days from now, if I get this edited properly. It'll just be running alternating days with Diablo because I don't want to really burn out on those games because those are more long-term series. Obviously, like I said, Time Spinner will not last a full month, so after its completion, I'm actually going to be going into a few other things. First, we're going to be releasing the Light series that I recorded a while back, a bit over a month ago. I just have yet to find a good slot to stick it in without overwhelming the channel. So we're going to release that right after the Time Spinner release, and then I'm going to follow it up with a couple demos that I've been given by developers for games I've been following for a while. And yeah, if recording goes well, immediately after that we'll be moving on into Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, which is an interesting Earthbound-inspired RPG from the first glance I took at it. I actually haven't gotten to do a test recording with it yet, so I don't know for sure if I can record it or not. It was a gift from my friend Yaweasel. You can check out his channel by searching for YAH Weasel. So he should be the top result. But I figured, hey, it's a gift from a friend who gave it to me after I mentioned it, and I should cover it, because he actually wants to see the game, he just doesn't want to play the game on his channel. So he does more kind of interesting bootlegs and stuff like that on his channel. He also does a bunch of like indie stuff. He does weird games, so be prepared. He's a lot more energetic than I am as well. But anyway, as far as the rest of it, I'm going to continue recording Shadowrun, the series, whenever time allows. It's not going to be releasing immediately. Instead, I'm going to just keep recording it off camera kind of thing. On camera, but off channel. I don't plan on releasing the second or third game in the series or the expansion on the third game until after we've completed Pillars of Eternity. That way I can build up a little bit of a backlog, and we'll be just releasing it alternating with Trails in the Sky whenever it comes out. I'm not abandoning the strategy stuff, I'm just trying to readjust where things are in the channel. It's also worth noting that on the Pillars front, because we're doing it after Pillars of Eternity 2 ends, I'm only going to be doing the Beast of Winter DLC, since I really don't want a single run of a series crossing that like 100 video barrier mark. Just not yet, at least. I'm not big enough to really justify that, and obviously the views have dropped off on that series as well, only getting about 10 to 20 views each video if I'm lucky. But yeah, we'll come back later probably and do the DLC. There's 2 more DLCs besides the Beast of Winter one, and they're both looking interesting. As of the recording of this, the second one should be out. I actually haven't checked that. I should probably check that. But I don't plan to install it or buy it or set it up or anything. I just plan to do the Beast of Winter DLC because I already have that installed. So we're going to go through that. If you want to see the other ones, definitely mention it. I'll look at doing a second series where I do Pillars of Eternity 1 into Pillars of Eternity 2 with like a continuous character. That way we can just do like one big sweeping one. That would probably take most of a year though, so I'm just going to put that out there. It's going to be about a 200-day run, if not 300-day, if we actually do all the DLC and all that stuff. But I think that's about it for the series plans. There are some other things I'm working on in the background. It's just what we're going to be able to do and what we're not going to be able to do. Hopefully I can get everything set up for some of that background stuff. But anywho, I'm going to skip the shilling part of the video, and I'm going to address something that some people have been asking, because as I've started doing these channel updates almost monthly, I've been asked a question every now and then, basically why I've been pushing the Patreon a bit more over the span of this past year. And yeah, I do try to keep it only to update videos. I do sometimes mention it in the gameplay videos, but it's basically, and to put it bluntly, I've lost about 15 to 20% of my income from my day job over the past year and a half, due to factors beyond my control, unfortunately, and I have to keep the job to keep a roof over my head. So on top of that, and having the cost of living increase, mainly due to rent, a lot few $100s a month. It's really put a pinch on my ability to maintain the time and ability to record, as well as get access to new games. So that's one reason why I've been pushing it, because every little bit there does help towards... Right now, it's at a point where my job maintains my quality of life, and just barely. And I can use the Patreon and YouTube ads to pay for the games. Obviously, that's not much at my size. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at on that, and that's why I keep pushing it. Thankfully, I do have a decent-sized back catalog on Steam, and I also have a retro game collection that I've collected over a good chunk of my life. But older titles and even retro titles are exceptionally hit or miss as to whether people want to watch them or not. So yeah, I'll be doing games I enjoy, but series crashing is series crashing. That means that my channel suffers a huge drop in views and subs and basically YouTube algorithm stuff whenever I cover those games. So I usually try to keep something relatively new in the cycle so that there's always something there. And pretty much every new game that you've seen over this past year has either been a gift or saved for over several months from Patreon and YouTube ad revenue. That's one reason why Diablo 2 has been sticking around quite so much, and I'm actually enjoying Diablo 2, don't get me wrong. I actually do enjoy doing that series. It's very nostalgic for me, and I have fun with it. But it is worth noting that there are other ways to support the channel if you don't like Patreon. The most obvious one is, of course, sharing, liking, and commenting. That will boost the views in the videos and fix the YouTube analytics a little bit. Of course, speaking of YouTube, they've broken my playlists for the past month. Yeah, so I've been having to manually update those, which is a pain in the ass. But especially whenever I have however many series going right now, like 5? There's also actually another way to like do the Patreon kind of thing, and that's because there's a join button over on the gaming version of the channel, which is just basically gaming.youtube rather than www.youtube. Pretty easy to figure out. If you have trouble, I can put a link, just comment and I'll put a link to it. Though I don't know how long that's actually going to be available, since they're phasing it out for people without active sponsors, which I don't have any active sponsors. And I should note that I will be giving the same access to YouTube sponsors as the $5 deal on Patreon, though YouTube takes its bigger cut because it's Google. But that's kind of where we're sitting with that. So yeah, I will. It based on what you invest in the channel, not what I get out of it. So you will be getting that access on Patreon if you do the $5 tier. It's there. I don't usually link to it. I don't even usually mention it. It's just kind of a way to support. I do have a t-shirt shop, sort of. I'm thinking about moving providers, so I'm not going to provide a link to that. But all that said, as long as I create content on YouTube and such, I should note it will not be put behind a paywall. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in sub-only chats. I do believe in slow chats sometimes if there's a lot of people, but not sub-only. It seems like, hey, we're going to exclude the poor people, or the people who can't afford to help, or the people who don't feel like subbing, or just like that. It seems scummy to me. But anyway, Patrons will see the same content as non-patrons. Patrons. Wow, I cannot say that word today. Patrons just get a bit more behind the scenes on Discord, like previews of thumbnails, some behind the scenes thoughts, although I haven't really been doing too much on that lately. Mostly I've been just keeping it out in the open on the channel, and in general chat. Sometimes there are duplicate polls or polls that I use for them to cut it down for the public polls, stuff like that. Just small stuff, just behind the scenes. And I will be eventually moving it to where I use the patrons and stuff like that for like group play, if I can ever get my internet stabilized enough to stream or even just group play. Yeah, I get disconnected from games I'm playing without recording, so that's an entirely bleh thing. Anyway, as always, I'm going to go ahead and just conclude this because it's been going on for way too long for a channel update. As always, questions are welcome. I will try to answer interesting ones in the next month's update, and possibly even ask them back to you, which I'm going to do this month. Kind of like, basically, last month's question was by Tort, because Tort is reliable and Tort is great, Tort is awesome, the tuxedos are all awesome. Which I'm going to basically paraphrase. He basically asked, are there any games that you remember more for the people you played with rather than the game itself? His was a little bit more complex than that. It revolved around kind of more of a hybrid of that. But simply put, there is one that always comes to mind first, and that's going to be Balls, which, of course, all of you know that I'm, like, terribly mature. It was kind of like the Smash Brothers of my childhood, and we played it a lot because, well, we were immature at the time. We were teenagers. And as you can tell by the name, the ball jokes were never ending. There was even a character, a ballerina, that would grab the opponent by the balls, like, well, their crotch was a single ball, but she'd grab them there, and then she'd spin them around and fling them. That was like the baseline of this. There were so many ball jokes in there. I liked the rhino and the ballerina the most because they were kind of different from the rest. There was a monkey that was a pain in the ass, though. One of my friends loved playing him. But anyway, there's other ones like Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. I still remember Holy from Diablo 1, which was one of my good friends. And there were like 3 or 4 of us that would go around and we'd just do random stuff. We'd kill cheaters and things like that. Diablo 2, you got D, you've got... oh, a whole list of people. It's like 30 people I could list off right now. You've got Guild Wars, which we all transitioned to. We also grabbed some people from the Reincarnation, which is, or, well, Archmage. It's an old browser game. We grabbed a bunch of people from that, did Guild Wars for a while, played Baldur's Gate with friends online. Dial-up. Wow, those were the days. But yeah, the list just goes on, and there's... but Balls is just the one that always crops up first in my mind because... my base level of humor. That said, I think I actually am going to, like, as I said, turn the question back on you. Are there any games that you remember more because of who you played with rather than just the game itself? I'm slightly curious which games come up, because a lot of people, I'm wagering, are going to choose either more complex games or versus games. That's just my thought on it. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few that do more story-oriented games, though, because I do remember playing Final Fantasy VI with a friend of mine, and we'd split control of the characters. But anyway, that said, that's pretty much everything I have. I'm not going to do a Tolkien question this month because it is way too damn long already. The important links are in the description, so keep gaming, have fun, and peace out. This has been Alzorath, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.